Simon Whitehead made a profession out of his passion and learned many lessons on the way to do that and made many sacrifices to do that, but enabled me to build a business not only in the field managing rabbits in some most unusual environments and meet some fantastic people, but also have a media presence where I never thought growing up would be possible, where I've made every magazine, every TV channel, got lurchers and ferrets on the front covers of not only magazines but national newspapers, and continue to take the rabbiting world into places where really it doesn't deserve to be.
You are somebody who, a lurcherman I was out with the other day described as, if I could do for lurchers what Simon has done for ferreting, I would consider my life to be a success. You are not just the acceptable face, you're the promotional face of ferreting. The book, though, is about the struggle more than the promotion. It's about you personally told through ferreting and what you've been through. That's because an unusual story.
A lot of people don't necessarily want to know. They see the half hour in the arena, they see the magazine article, they see bits on social, but there's more to behind the scenes to get to that level. So it's when you spending 150 days on the road doing media work, it has a knock-on effect. And we don't get trained for this. I left school with no qualifications. Pair of trainers are watching enthusiasm. That's my qualification. And I've now written 1 million words on it. I've done 5 books. Like I said, I've done that. But you weren't trained for that. So when you get your life obstacles in the way as well, there's a pressure. And because of just the way my mind is set up and from my roots and where I'm from, at times I didn't know how to handle that pressure. And it gives the wrong impression when you're doing a demonstration and you're stern-faced. It's because there's so much going on around you, you've got to concentrate on being a professional instead of going out on the lash and sounding terrible and looking terrible. And I thought it was about time an insight into that world was given. And it is a blunt insight into that world, so people can see who the real Simon Whitehead was and is, because I'm a different person now than I was a few years ago.
Well, 5 years ago you were living with your partner in Suffolk, weren't you? What happened apart from, as well as COVID, during that last 5 years?
Last 5 years, well, I returned back to the north, moved 7 times.
Without your partner?
Without my partner.
So you split up?
We split up in 2019. Just grew apart. There was no reason. It happens.
You're doing 150 days away.
Yeah, and she was up early doing horses, and that side of life, is the collateral damage, unfortunately. And then, unfortunately, from time to time, 32 years is a long time. Got a good relationship with her now, with my daughter, and moved back north. I moved back north because that's where my roots and my friends were, and easy access for shows and for rabbit and work. And then really woke up and got myself together, physically, went to therapy, learned about the breakup, learned about fitness, nutrition, how can I promote and improve on what I do media-wise, management-wise. I've now got very good contracts. I've now got the right people around me, no toxicity. I'm very aware of real world, whereas I wasn't, because until I moved back, I never paid a bill in my life. Jules did all that. The money went in, she sorted it out. So little things people take for granted, you've got to learn how to do. And that increases pressure and on top of that, I've still got to book my own show. I don't have an agent. I do all that. And it takes weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's like bringing the book out was such a refreshing, almost like a therapy session in itself. I'm married with the lad. He is the finest photographer I've seen. With the photography as well, it was just the right time to do it.
This is the photography in the book, some of which is on that panel just there, isn't it? But interestingly, on the screen is a film we did with you about 10 years ago as a very, very young Simon in there.
Different beast then, different. And again, this is why I've done the book, because I want people to see that there's more to the stern face and grumpiness and everything else. But that's because you're taking on all the pressure and almost afraid to show that you were human. because you wanted to do and promote it and to do this. And then in the background, of course, you've got people who necessarily want to do what you do, but they can't. So it's just a modern thing, especially with Instagram and Facebook and social media. They all want to walk in these shoes, but they don't want to go in this head. If they could last for 30 seconds in this head, then maybe it'll be a walk in the shoes. Now I know how to handle that. I wasn't taught how to handle that. I've had no media training, no life training, so I've had to just do it on the hoof and survive.
It's a very common story in the world of music. You know, a modern musician will be in the bubble, will burn out, will go to the Caribbean, make friends with the stone, and write an instrument. You know, you've written this book about how you've gone through the same thing, except you're a ferreter on a ferreting budget.
Yeah.
And what's extraordinary about the book is that
more brilliant than Barbados it is.
It's the rabbits and the ferrets that shine through. It's the rabbits and the ferrets.
Saved me life. Okay. Rabbiting has saved me life.
How?
It's given me a focus in the hard times, the dark times, the hard times. You know, I love me dogs, love me rabbits. It's made me appreciate ferreting and the people, appreciate good days out, good friends. And when you've got a focus and you hit the dark time, it saves you. You know, and if it wasn't for that and me ferrets and the dogs, because they rely on me, it's only me. So like, I've got to make sure that I'm breeding right, I'm living right, I'm feeding the animals, and it gives you that glimpse of that light at the end of the tunnel. And it made me realise that I am in a privileged position. You know, I can know lots of people, I can get to lots of areas, I can do lots of things, but you've made it happen, and it's the ferrets and the dogs that have made that happen, not me. Because at the end of the day, in the real world, I'm only as good as them animals to do my job. Without doing my job, I can't do the media job.
Is it the ferreting as well? And the reason I ask is, I remember a music biz guy saying to me once, it's no exaggeration to say that fly fishing saved Eric Clapton's life. Yeah. You know, is it that?
You look at ferreting, you know, and I like myself to Beth Harmon in ferreting. Now, a lot of people probably won't know who Beth Harmon is, so you'll have to Google it. But I've always thought differently about ferreting. Now, when I was younger, you think you know it all, and I knew absolutely nothing, but you play to your strengths. You bluff it, you play to your strengths. But when you look at life skills, and you look at ferreting and working your dogs, they go hand in hand. And being able to think about my ferreting in such a way where I can break things down and get results where I shouldn't really get results. We can manipulate nature for photography. We can manipulate nature for control methods. We're not only managing rabbits, we're probably starting to put rabbits back. We can manipulate because we've got the knowledge. And I think that distraction and sheer, I suppose, grit and stubbornness and that dockyard spirit my dad's bred into me, that's give you the focus. So when all your life is like going down the drain, or you know, you got a pandemic where I lost all my money, I lost, you know, all the shows went and everything else. I didn't like shrink. I started running around the hills and getting fit and sorting myself out. You know, and I'm now as fit as I've ever been. You know, I've got a PT mat. Everything's in order. And but if it wasn't for the ferreting and the dogs and the training the dogs and that focus on getting up in the morning because the dogs have got to be done. I want my dogs ready for next year. I want the ferrets ready. It's all these little things. So when I talk to people about motivational stuff, there's nothing you can't achieve. Because, like I said, I left school with nothing. I left school at 14, you know, and look where you are now.
It sounds like the last 5 years, and particularly this book, I mean, as well as what I got out of this book for myself, has been a reset button for you.
Oh, without doubt. Yeah. Massively. And like, when you look at the history of my ferreting, everything's been done the hard way because it's a ferreting budget. You're bringing a family up, and you got all other things, but I suppose it is that focus it's given me, and if I can get people to appreciate that hardship and what you can get. And it started a couple of years ago when I openly talked about depression and anxiety and panic attacks, massive panic attacks before going in arenas, doing marches and addressing people at race courses, and you just like, and they wonder, why does he look so grumpy? It's because you just had a massive panic attack and anxiety attack. When you talk about this, people go, it's been happening to me, but I daren't talk about it. So if only one thing can be good, it's that we can talk about it openly without being judged on it.
And that helps.
Oh, massively. I mean, you've seen me smile now and laugh now and enjoy myself, appreciate people around you and appreciate your day's ferreting, because we got that hung up on content, results, pictures. I mean, even Craig now, we laugh about it. We used to stress about missing a rabbit. We're going to get other rabbits. Now we're just like so at ease, and it's like a fine oiled machine. Whatever life chucks at you, it's not as bad as what we've been through. So we are going to address it, and that is it good for business, it's good for media, it's good for work, it's good for health, it's good for the mind. And when your body's right and your mind's right, everything else goes right as well.
Well, I'm going to ask about that, and just while I try and get myself out of this chair, it is just ferreting. That's not vodka, is it?
No, it's not gin neither. It's just water.
It's got a lemon in it. So, what was Simon like? What's Simon been like over the last 5 years?
There's definitely been a real turning point over the past perhaps 3 to 4 years, without doubt. It's we as you said, it goes from becoming. You go out initially, it was for a job, it's for a commission, whatever it was, and now it's actually more of a. It feels much more social. It feels much more.
It's more of a jolly now, isn't it?
Quite. Yeah. You don't feel remotely pressured, or you take it, and it becomes much more natural with the ebb and flow of it.
Was he a nightmare to work with?
Sometimes, yeah. It could have been, yeah, quite right.
All right, so you got a bit of an endorsement there. Simon, given this is a reset, you're starting again, where do you go now? And we talked a couple of years ago about things like developing the food side of rabbits.
Yeah, I'm keen to develop. I do a lot of cooking demos. I'm keen to develop that. That's a good avenue because I can talk about the provenance of the rabbit, how we harvest it. I'm keen on doing more filming and podcasts and just getting messages across, because it's a life's journey. Like you said, it's not just rabbiting, it's a life's journey. And when people realise they're not alone, but you can achieve anything, and I speak to a lot of youngsters and people, and I was a nightmare growing up. I mean, these people haven't laid me out in the past, it's unbelievable. Because, like I said, you get stressed out about content, results. That's not everything. But it's like a fight. I love me fighting. A lot of my friends are fighters. A lot of my friends are very good fighters. When they're loose and right mentally and physically, they're loose. They perform to such an elevated level that everything falls into place. And that's what we're like now at shows, when we're out doing content and when we're doing fitness or enjoying ourselves. It's just at ease. And I think that's the difference now. Rather than being stressy and agitated and anxious. And a lot of that is because you've got stuff going on in the background you've never talked about. And I think now everything's out in the open. You're at ease and you're better for it.
Okay, well, it's been a lot about you. I mean, this has been a wonderfully self-indulgent chat. But I mean, are you going to take this to other people in a formal way? Are you going to do youth groups, for example? Do you see this kind of thing, or are you literally sitting there thinking, I've got a blank canvas, I could do anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to what people want. If people want me to go and address people, then I'll do that. If people want me to go down a certain avenue, at the end of the day, if it pays, then you can explore it, because everything's got to be paid. And that's one thing I've learned, living on your own. Everything's got to be paid for. I'll take this wherever it takes, because, like I said, it's not just about rabbiting. Yes, we've got problems with rabbiting in the rabbiting world we've got to address, massive problems. And they will be addressed. Maybe I've got to go in that direction. I don't know. But if I can help one person, then I will help one person.
So I've really enjoyed Pugs and Drummers, A Ferreter's Fable. £25 over there. You can buy it after this. I think if you wrote another one saying Simon's still doing well, I'd be less interested. I think I want you to get back into ferreting, please.
Yeah, no. Now the book's done. It's back into ferreting, back into filming, back into getting everything right and doing what I do. But I just felt the time was right to do it. at the particular time. It should have been out last year. My head wasn't right to finish it, so I left it, finished it. I think it's right, and I think the format's right. The landscape marries the photography and the art from Sean, Darren, Craig, Scott, Nigel, the people who have helped with the pictures. But I've got to get back to doing what I'm doing, because that's what makes me tick. I'm like half ferret, half spade. I've got to get back into that world.